Gotcha. Can you guys hear me okay now? Let me know.
Yes, Harshal, we can hear you.
Yes.
Okay, got it. So as we discussed earlier, right, as part of this business process, so Silu, you are right on track, right? And you guys are right on track because the first process is, hey, let's get these cartridges in, the shipments coming in from the businesses. So once the shipment comes in, they process them as part of receiving process. Okay, so that's where you will see in the requirements document, hey, there is a receiving process, which is there will be a screen uh, along with that process so that they can receive. So what information they collect, what information about the boxes and so forth. So it all goes into the system at that point. So any box that you see here, they are they are collecting the information or capturing the data about what is happening within the system. Okay. Then after that, they check, hey, do we need to inventory cartridges? So then execute the inventory process. So inventory meaning that they are going one by one. They open the box and going one by one, and then start putting them into the system further. So there should be an inventory screen that goes along with that. Warranty eligible. Again, they determine, hey, is this cartridge, can we claim the warranty for? So there is a warranty eligibility. They determine, so there is a warranty process as well. So once they determine it's a warranty eligible, they will execute warranty process. So does anybody remember what is happening on the warranty process? This is where they are claiming, they are identifying what defect they have, and that's where if there is a defect there, and is the shipment necessary, can we claim the warranty? Then they will execute the shipping process at the end to ship to the vendors or manufacturers to claim the warranty, and then it process will end. And that's what you will see here as well, right? These are the steps for that. Now, coming back to your original question, Silu, right? So there are different folks. So here, the receivers are doing this work process, uh, the receiving process, right? It's done by the receivers. The inventory folks are doing the inventory management process. The shippers or warranty processors, they might be doing different things, and they might be shipping folks who will be actually shipping out uh, those cartridges after they are processed. So there are different people involved in there.
Okay.
Now, one thing you guys have you noticed how different? Um, I don't know whether you guys read the whole document or not, but anybody looked at the security or have you thought about the security, how
Yes.
different it is than the Arflon?
So there is a couple lines about security in this document, and I was thinking that I didn't understand too much in this document, but for Arflon, I thought it is SSL security because it includes payment, credit card information. I don't know about this document.
Other than that, um, so that is one component. But what about the roles um, comparing to the Arflon roles versus here?
Yes, Shilu, what Harshal is asking, there are two aspects, right? One is the transport of how you secure the data when you go back and forth. But then there is also a role-based, who can access what functionality. So if you recall it in our flown, right, we had manager, we had dealer user, we have site admin, we have a lender. How is that sort of security is addressed in this one? Have you seen anything that indicates towards that security?
Or anybody else?
I was trying to look at this, but I didn't get any clear picture, like who is doing what, like what should be the role, like what should be the authorization of particular person, what who can access which page. So like I was kind of confused.
Same with me. I did not understand a lot. That's why I asked you what are the entities involved, because
Sure.
the only one I can find out is an admin. That's it.
Exactly, yes.
I'm here too.
Okay. So if I go here somewhere, I get scroll to the maybe later pages here. Uh, let me search for. So if you look at the page 123 and 126 here, okay. So I'm kind of like a here, F18 and F19. So let me go to 126. It's 123, 126. Okay. So here in the RFlown, right, you had a fixed set of roles in the RFlown. So they were predefined roles in the system. So you had 4 or 5 different roles. You cannot add any new roles within RFlown system. But this system, what they are doing is the administrator, whoever is administrator, they can actually configure the roles on the fly. Um, so if we look at it here, the screen actual, see if I come back here. So here they have an admin module for the roles itself. Okay, so they can add new role. They can modify the existing roles. And let's go back to the second details page so that it would be a little bit clear. So there is a cartridge admin, there is a role admin here in this example, user admin. Now here they are doing a lot more things. So they define the role, here, and then they can give permissions, what things they can do on a particular module. So here there will be a list of modules. So receiving might be one of them, shipping might be one of them, and what are the different things they can do, like add, edit, delete, or view. So they can it's more granular approach here in this system. So there might be a ABC role that might have access to shipping only. There might be XYZ role that might have access to receiving only, or that might be ABCD XYZ role, kind of like a combine, which might have access to both modules. And then they will add the different users, part of the give permission assigned to this roles. So once they define here, right? And let me go back to the user module here. See if I can find it quickly. So admin user modules here, these two, 622 and 23. Okay. So admin user details, that's page number 102. So this is where they are defining the user on the admin module, admin user detail page. So here you will see some type of role will be assigned to the user somewhere here. So let's see, this is first page. There you go. So you have, they can assign different roles based on the company as well. So here, there is one more level here where they can assign the user to multiple companies as well as what type of role they contain. So for this specific company, this user has shipper role, who is a customer, receiver, and so forth, different type of roles. So it's a little bit more granular. And in the typical system, you will find this type of, not typical, but the complex system, you will find this type of security as well, more granular level. Does it make sense? So it's a little bit different than RFlown. Okay, RFlown was very straightforward security with the predefined roles within the system, but here they can configure the user with the different roles. Any question on the security here? Okay, so hopefully you guys understand how the security is structured in the document. So now I'm going back to the main page here to see any question on any.
I have a question from page 4.
Just 4, okay, here.
Yes. So it's about like primary navigation. I understand that there are menus and there will be some sub-menus, but nowhere I can see the proper picture of like what comes under what. So should we assume by looking at the pages like different pages, what should be the sub-menu of which main menu?
So think about if the user is a shipper, depending on the role, they will see different menu items here. And the role has access to shipping and receiving, then they will get to see both menu items.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, we should assume by looking at the different pages.
Yeah, so if you are testing a receiving module, right? So user needs to have access to the receiving module, and from your test data standpoint, you can assume that user has access to receiving module, but you need to make sure you create that user with the receiving role or the whatever role that has receiving module access, or assign that role to the user.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
And when you bring your mouse on top, the submenu will pop up. And then in touch screen, it will be different. That is what is explained in the bottom, right?
That is correct. That's exactly correct. Yep. Because this is a touch related system, right? So it needs to support touch screen. So it's user, if in order to see the menu, they have to do some action on the screen. So they might come to the build and they'll click on it, or they hover over it and it will pop up another menu. But it shouldn't be that different than the regular system. Okay. Any other question, I guess? So touchscreen part, right? Everybody understands.
Can you explain for me, please?
So the system is touch enabled. So they may or may not have a keyboard. So what this section talks about is there should be a way for user to access a keyboard right on the screen. Kind of like in your tablets, if you are using any iPad or something tablet, right? It pops up a keyboard. The system should have something similar to that, so that they can type in if they don't have keyboard attached.
Okay.
All right. How about the column headers? Anybody has any question?
I have a question.
Sure.
So the last line, which says continuous clicks on the same column header toggles the table sort order between ascending and descending. So I'm a bit confused here. Like, what should I expect?
Okay. So here, unlike Rflown, right, where you have different requirement for different screens. So first of all, they are giving you some general requirements that system should support, kind of like a keyboard. it needs to be accessible from all the screens. They are not going to repeat that over and over for every screen. Same thing. Throughout the application, right? You have to read the word. The tables are designed to display tabular data to the user. Okay. So anywhere there is a table type of format they are displaying, it needs to have a few things here. First of all, they will be able to click on the columns and sort the data. Okay. This is a
Right.
header.
Right.
So if it's sorted ascending way by default, let's say first you load up the screen, it is ascending order. The values are in the ascending. And if you click on, let's say location again, all right, location call title again, then it will sort the data into descending order. If you click it again, then it will flip it again. So it will be in the ascending order because previously it was descending. Okay, so so they are not going to repeat this on every screen wherever they have a table information displayed.
Okay.
Now, where is the table information? You will probably find it in all the admin sections, admin screens. Kind of like I showed you earlier, the user list, any list
Yeah.
page, they have this type of table.
Right.
They all need to support this functionality. So think about where your QA head, right? If you have to test something for this type of table, what would you need to do? What type of test cases you have to create and so forth. Or how would you test this table?
Like it's when I'm clicking it first, is it?
Right? That's what you will be testing for every page wherever there is a table. So you need to implement, make sure this functionality works on every page.
Okay.
So you need to have those test cases along with the other test cases on the page specific level. Is everybody clear?
But what I'm like, what I'm expecting when I'm continuously clicking on the same column header.
So what would you guys expect here based on the requirements or kind of like a general requirement given here?
When you keep clicking on it, it will go from ascending to descending to ascending to
That's
descending.
exactly what it is, right? That's what you need to be testing. So you need
Okay.
to have the test case for testing the ascending order. When you click first time, it should flip it basically. When you click
Yeah.
again, it should flip it again. And as long as it does it, you guys should be good from
Okay.
that standpoint.
Yeah. Now
Right.
I understand. Thank you.
Okay. All right, moving on. So as I said, I mean, these are general requirements. So kind of like a column header, right? 2.7 is the same way. Wherever there is a date in the system, you should see something similar. What they have here. So you need to have the test case to test this thing wherever there is a date reference for the page. Now, again, you don't have to repeat the same test case. You can just generalize the test case as well and execute for every module wherever you have it. So you don't have to write the same test case over and over again. It's kind of like a test set, right? So you pull in certain test sets for the module, and you just pull in the date test set as well. Hey, make sure the date is displayed in the correct format or not. Okay. Any question here on the 2829 or 210?
Yes, can we stop at 2.9, client side data validation? Why does it specify that? Anyway, we always do it for the end users.
Yes, so this one is they are doing on the client side instead of on the server side. So there are two types of validation, right? So let's say assume this is your browser, okay? This is a browser, okay? And then you are hitting a server here, right? This is a web server, web server. So you are running on your machine, and so you are hitting something. Let's say you are hitting some save button here, And you have a bunch of data elements, text boxes, and drop downs, and so forth in the browser. So what this one is saying, when you click the save button, I want user to validate right in the browser itself before sending it to the server. So save the information or send the data to the server only if all the data is valid on the browser. So this is called client here. Browser is nothing but your client, and this is your server. Web server is a server. So there are two kinds of validation you can do. You cannot one stuff is the client side validation, where you can validate, hey, this text box is 50 characters or not, did they select the required fields or not, and so forth, some of the fields. So there is some validation you can implement at the client side, some validation you can implement only after you send data to the server. Okay, so once you click on save, all the data comes here, and then you can run some validation again on the web server. And then if something fails, you send the response back saying, hey, please enter more fields or required fields and so forth. So you can do those type of validation both on the client and server side. Here, they are strictly enforcing the rule saying, hey, because of the performance issues, and maybe they decided to implement pretty much all the validation on the client side. Remember, this is a touch screen system as well, and so they are expecting user to perform the basically data entry fast, or there is some performance requirement they have. So they expect them to see the response right away. There is a lag here. When you send the data here, there may be 1 to 2 seconds before the page, or maybe 2 to 5 seconds. It's typically 1 to 5 seconds that you will get. Okay, give me a second. Okay, but when you do client side, they will see the response right away within less than 1 second. Okay, so that maybe they are hitting the performance requirement, and that's the reason they are saying, hey, do it only on the client side, basically. And that's what it makes it clear, without having to make a round trip to the server and wait for the page to refresh.
And how do you know that is working? Do I play client and test before it goes out?
Yeah, you can certainly this is again a performance requirement, right? Now from the QA standpoint, you can test it to see if it's reasonable response. Maybe within a second you are getting those type of responses or not. If it's taking you a little bit longer, just a quick check wise. But otherwise, you have to do some performance management, basically testing as well.
Okay, makes
Yep.
sense.
Yeah. But you can visually see, hey, am I getting immediate notification or not, and so forth. And otherwise, if they send to the server, the whole page will refresh, and you will know right away, basically. If it's a client side, the page will not get refreshed. That's the difference. And so you don't have to do much, I mean, for this particular technical requirement. This is more of a technical requirement than the business requirement. Kind of like a non-functional. Okay.
Can you
All right,
explain
moving.
field masking, please?
Field masking, sure.
Yes.
So field masking is generally, let's say this is the phone number text box, right? So typically you enter something like this, 212-111-1111. Okay. Now when you enable field masking for the field, so you have the box, but it will already have some format enabled. So user just need to type in 212-111-1111. So it will automatically put the dashes accordingly at that point. Without masking, you have to enter 212-111-1111. So the masking allows them to pre-fill with certain mask, kind of like a, so user just focus on the data entry of the key numbers, keying the numbers only.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you.
Makes sense? Okay.
Yes.
So here they talk about various types of requirement here. Anybody want to take a guess how many test cases it will take here from the testing standpoint for this requirement? Specifically the phone number. Or I guess what are you testing here with the phone? Phone number field mask.
I think different test cases for different digit numbers.
Okay.
There are 7-digit number, 10-digit number. Like if you go after more than 10 to 12, it will, like it's saying it will be rejected, could not determine a phone number.
Okay. So how many test cases you can have here?
A lot of them, because what if somebody just put one number and press enter, or two number, press enter? So a lot of test cases.
Does it say anything minimum here? 7 or 10 or 12 digit? Phone number formats as 7 or 10 or 12 digit number as follows.
Yes.
Yeah,
So anything below that, it should get you some type of error or something if they try to save it.
Yeah, but when you look into it, right, you don't have to test all the various combination, right? You can just say, it's, hey, anything which is less than 7 or between or 8 and 9, right, or 11 or greater than 12, right? So those cases you can immediately, like, it's going to test it and say it's okay, as long as it gives the error message as Herschel stated, you should be good with that. But even within the 7, 10, or 12 digits, you will have few additional test cases, right? If you look into all 8, those are kind of clearly outlined what all minimum things you need to do it.
So there'll be 8 different minimum 8, plus you will have more test case for negative test cases for, as Dilip mentioned, anything less than certain digits. You need to have those invalid formats, invalid data type of thing.
Now, one quick thing is, do you know how many times you have to execute this sets of 8 or 10 test cases that you come up with that?
Whenever you're filling any information inside the application.
Right. So this is a scenario where you have to think it is, you may be writing the test cases only for 8 times or 10 test cases, but you have to execute it every time you encounter a phone number within the system to make sure each one of the phone number is kind of providing it that kind of capability and validation.
And so the phone number is specifically on the user module, company module, and there are a few other places. So wherever the phone number is there, you have to execute all the test cases to make sure phone number is working correctly. Okay. All right. Moving on. All right. Any question here?
Got a question for the email. It says mandate only the following special characters, which is a dot, dash, underscore, and space. Are we including all or just one? Because it didn't specify.
Only the following, mandate only the following special characters: underscore and dash, I guess. So I believe these two are the only one. I'm not sure you can have space in the email.
Okay.
And sometimes we use dot. That's not working.
Well, it says mandate string contains one dot here, so it is there. So it will accept that.
Oh yeah.
Um, then it could accept this too. So if I have HP underscore, it will accept, or HP dash, it will accept, HP dot, it will accept, and so forth. Okay, so you have to read it what it's doing. At least one contain one symbol. So you have to have only one @ symbol. Contain one period. So currently it's not supporting dot, kind of like a HP dot test at gmail.com. Okay, this one will not be supported because it says mandate that string contain one period only. Okay, because this one will have two periods, it needs to fail at that point.
Oh, .com and .com.
So you have to go by the requirement, what is given in the requirement, and not what is currently available in there. So you can easily have at least 6 minimum test cases, or more, actually 7 or 8 test cases right on the email address.
So when it says mandate at least one period, it's just talking about .com. You cannot have any other period in the name, such as
That's right.
Shilu.Patel.
That's
No.
correct.
Okay.
That is correct. Mandate the string contain one period, right? It's a one only. That's how I am reading it. It does not say at least one. At least one meaning one or more. It says one only. Okay, and it also talks about what should happen if something fails for the email. What information should be displayed to the user? So that's something you need to validate as well, like invalid email displayed. Okay. All right. Any other question on 3, 4, and 5? Okay. So these were the common requirements. Okay. So that means anywhere you see those fields, you need to apply and test it from there. So we talked about security a little bit. It's a functional access, right? And so forth. It's a role-based functional access. So each role will be given access to specific function, and user will be assigned to specific role for that. Okay. Let me know if you guys have any question on certain things. Any question here?
Yeah, can you go through these ones?
So this one is talking about technical, how the user will be accessing the system and so forth. So you have it's accessible over internet. That's all it says. And there is a web server here. So this is a web server. Everybody else is accessing through the internet, this web server. That's all it talks about. Okay, it's a configuration, how the people will be using the system. There is nothing for you to test it from the testing, but it's more of architecture type of thing. And there is application architecture similar to the Airflow, right? You have multi-tier application or n-tier application where you have data, business, presentation, and so forth.
So is the data storage is where the entire data for the application is stored, and then data access is the individual user, like a one-person data is stored. Is that what it means?
No, it's not that. So SQL Server, right? So database is a SQL Server. That's what the data storage is. That's where you will be storing your data in the table format. Remember, we talked about the tables, right? That's where you will be creating your tables. The
Okay.
data access is a layer of code. This is a code layer that strictly interacts with the database. Okay. Presentation is a browser. Basically, this is the UI, user interface, which has all the forms and something that will be rendered to the user. That will talk to the business tier, which implements all the business rules. So whatever error you get back, that typically comes from the business rule. Something is not valid or something is required and so forth. That is the business tier. But once the business tier validates everything, then it passes to the data tier, data access tier, basically all the data to there. And then data access tier interacts with the database to store the data into the database tables. That's how typically the architecture works here.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you.
All right. So this is more of architecture standpoint, how the system will be built. And so for the testing standpoint, that shouldn't be much, but you need to understand how they are building the system. So one thing they did not mention is any web services here, right? You guys probably didn't see any reference to the services. So you don't have to have the web service testing. There is no web services. So there is nothing there, right? Only strictly the web app with the data storage. All right, so overall workflow, I think we already talked about it. Hopefully you guys have a good understanding of that. All right, so before we jump into anything else, so here, any question on this module? Or do you guys understand what is involved from the testing standpoint here? Okay, no question. All right. So let me ask you, I mean, how would you guys test this page here, homepage? If you have to write the test cases and so forth, what would be the test cases here? Kind of like based on your understanding, or what would you test?
A web page.
This homepage.
Yeah, home page.
What would you be testing on the homepage?
Can I see all the menus and the
The
menu items,
header.
and the header and footer should be there.
Yeah.
Header, footer, okay, and the
All,
menu.
yes.
What
And
else?
Also the history button.
history button. Yes, the click
What
function
the
as well.
homepage would look like.
Okay. What would you be testing on the history here specifically? When you say history button, what is that you're gonna test?
So
That
whether
all
I
the sorry, go ahead.
Is it gonna be
Yes.
that the history of the
Yeah, go ahead, Til. I'm looking for in general, what is that you are testing from your thought process perspective, okay? So you said you will have history button, so that would be the fourth test case. Anything else missed here on the screen for testing?
so
Yes, go ahead.
so if I'm clicking the history button, can I view the
All
home
page.
history page, and whether I can view the archived articles?
Okay, so here you are checking the archived ones, right? Okay,
Mhm.
so that's fine. Anything else you will be testing on the page?
Like the registration of users and new security setting one.
So what are these, I guess?
So,
Well, what would you be testing for that?
like I can see this on the home page.
Okay, so you verify that these are visible.
Yes.
Visibility of visibility here.
Is it only the two items, or what are you verifying in terms of visibility?
So if I'm looking at the what's new article, I'll look at the list of articles, like which displays, like it says it displays a list of articles that have been defined using the homepage news items. So I'll try to look at if there is any display regarding those articles. And if I'll check the history, I talked about it, history button. Yeah, so that's all about.
Okay.
So it will lead, yeah. So it is navigating to the different pages like F20 and F21 if I'm looking at those.
Okay. So F20. So if well, F20 would be way down, I think. Let me pull up F20 here. Okay, just for the sake. All right. So this is F20 and 21, right? And this is a different module that goes along, for instance, that supports the homepage functionality, right? So what would you be doing here, Nidhi?
So I will just try that the system is, if I'm looking at the what's new article, the system is navigating to F20 and F21.
Is that what it's doing? It's coming here.
So when I'm on F20 and F21, then I'll try to test the different functionalities, like what it says.
Okay. Yeah. Does anybody understand what this module is, F20 and F21? What they do here, the user, or how it's connected with the homepage? Any
So
thoughts?
I'm adding new items on the homepage, and if I want to filter something, I can do that as well. So I'll check that functionality as well.
Now, where are you adding new items?
By clicking on the add new item.
Okay, so you are adding new items on F20 and F21. That's what you are saying, right? So you click here. If you want to add a news item, you click here, which will take you to the F21 here. And you can fill out the details. Title will be ABC, and whatever text you will fill out, and you will save here, right?
Yes.
If you save, well, what happens once you save it here?
It will go to,
like I can see on page 1 if I'll save it here.
Page 1 meaning the F20?
F20.
Okay, so we are talking about how it relates to the home page, right? So, what happens afterwards?
So if I'm looking at the what's new, so this article should come up on what's new.
Okay.
Yeah, the article pops up and then what's new page.
Sure. So is there any information that is relevant to the what's new versus what's in the history? Looking at this page here, how do you know it will be on the what's new page? Did anybody understand, I guess, my question? Or I guess you guys are not sure. Maybe nobody's asking me question. Why? What makes it displayed on the what's new page?
Yeah, I didn't understand.
So what's new page, right? So you click on the history, it displays the same articles, right? Just archived ones. So how do you know what to display on the what's new versus what goes on the archive? Looking at this page here.
So archive are the ones that should go in. They're not too important versus what's new is what you want users to see and what's important.
But how do you know? It's not magic, right? In the system,
Right.
you have to specify somewhere that what this thing supposed to go in the what's new versus this thing supposed to go in the archive.
So
Or,
if you wanted to go in the history archive, you click the check mark for the history archive. And then if you want it to be active, then you just click on that active button.
okay, so that's the testing side you guys need to understand, right? It's not
Right.
just a simple screens, they are interconnected modules. Okay.
Okay.
So every module in the system, in this particular laser saver, you will see two pieces. One is the user facing, and second would be the admin part that goes along with that. So kind of like a receiving module, but you will see a lot of admin modules that ties to the receiving as well. Okay, so same thing here. If you leave this active, click on active and click save, then you should see this article on the home page under what's new. Now, if you uncheck that and click on this historical archive, that means this article is no longer active, and you should see in the history at that point. So you can't just test the screen when you create the test data, right? And it's very important when you create test data, make sure you understand the linkage, because you will have to come here and maybe create some test data that way so that you can see it on the main screen or main module. Is everybody clear? Because I want you guys to understand this part, because they are pretty much everywhere. You will find this type of relations for all the different screens.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Okay. So there is the admin module as well as the actual functionality module the user deals with. Okay. All right, so now you guys are clear on that. So let's come back to the core modules, which are very important here. And that's what you guys will be doing most of the project work on, not on the home page or anything. All right, so you guys understand we are on the receiving. So any question on the receiving? Any part that you guys did not understand for the receiving module? So this is the process flow, what happens on the receiving. And then there is a screen that goes along with that receiving module. So any question here?
Can you go to page 15?
15, okay. All right. Any question? So screen should support the business process that is mentioned here. Okay. So you need to understand both part, what happens on the screen and what is the business process it's supporting, which is nothing but here. All right, any question here?
So the process says enter PO number,
Mhm.
but when I look at the page, there's nowhere mentioned that the PO number is required, like a PO field is required.
It says required false here. So you guys understand how the document is structured, right? You have page elements,
Mhm.
you have PO
Business
field there, and it says required false. So purchase order, you may or may not have it. That's what
So
it
can
is.
I ask you? I was very confused at that requirement block. Either it can be yes, no, or not applicable. What does it mean by false?
That means it is not mandatory to enter PO number. When it says require true here in the vendor, that means you must select where the shipment came from, which customer or vendor. Without that, you cannot save any information. You wouldn't be able to save anything on the page.
Isn't it same as yes or no?
I'm sorry, what was
Isn't
that?
isn't that same as no? Because somewhere it says yes or no, somewhere it says true and false.
Required yes, yeah, that's the same as true. When you say no, so document has some inconsistencies, looks like.
Okay, because when it said false, it threw me off. Like it's
Yeah.
What are they trying to say? Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Any other question here? I guess what are you testing here in general?
Whether I can save the form by providing required data and not required data, like different scenarios.
Form with the required data and not required data. Okay. So that's the one thing. But if you are like a QA person, right? What would you be testing specifically on this page? So when you say sale, what would you be testing for sale? Is there a sale here?
No, just done.
And what does the done mean from the process standpoint or your user standpoint?
I can save the information.
Is it all happens in the done? Where would you find that? So the document has
Like after saving the data, whether the system will navigate me to the home page, which is F1.
okay.
Yeah, right there. Mhm.
So this is very core for any testing that you're gonna do, right? Events. What really happens? So for any module, you probably wanna make sure you test the events because this one triggers the business processes and so forth. What happens? So this system is a little bit different. Okay, they have specified within the event section all the core business rules, what's supposed to happen, and so forth. So here, done button save the data on the page navigates to the home page. So you will be testing that. So what's the difference between process, another, and done?
I want to process different form, like different. I want to enter different data.
I understand, but what is different? Process, another.
Receiving.
To go to the next shipment, that one is done, and then go to the next one.
Okay. So you guys understand how they are processing the shipments, right?
Mhm.
So let's go back to the business process here, just for sake of it. So shipment arrives, customer vendor shipment is selected. So you are selecting shipment. If a PO number is associated with the shipment, you enter shipment tracking number, scan, check is made by the system to make sure shipment is already available. If not available, entered into system manually. So user may choose whether or to enter another shipment or same type of shipment, right? That's all they are doing. So the box comes in or cartridge or skid, what type of package it is, they are selecting it, and then they are saying I'm done with the whole customer, or there is another shipment that is waiting for from the same customer, and we are processing basically one by one, right? So that's the business process flow here. So I think process, they don't have specific rules for the process another here, okay? And they're done. They are kind of like doing the same thing, but they are processing different shipment for both. So you will test this. You will test this. What else you guys will be testing?
So when I'm hitting the vendor customer lookup button, it's
Mhm.
giving me the various option to select vendor and customer.
Okay. So let's talk about this for a minute here. So you are clicking here, you are seeing something here in the list, but what is that you are verifying here? Or how would you verify it, I guess, that is working correctly?
It should give me some kind of list, vendor and customer list.
It should give you some kind of list, or are you expecting some specific list?
Uh,
How would you determine that?
like if I want to select certain vendor or customer, so by hitting the lookup button, it should provide me a list where I can pick.
It is correct that it should provide you a list where you can pick. But so you are just testing this button functionality, right? Whether it shows you list or not. That's all you are saying? Okay.
Yes.
All right. How would you verify the list here? So that's one test case. Hey, I click something and it should show some list for me.
Mhm.
But how do I know the list is correct or not?
So
Anybody? Anybody thought of anything? How would you verify the list is correct? What particular module? And work with that. Um, so where the list is coming from?
So the vendor customer list should be that list where um like it's the customer list. It should be. Oh, sorry, I'm just lost.
It says here
Could be the vendor
vendor
lookup list.
and vendor lookup is E01 and lookup list E09.
Mm.
Okay. So you need to see how what is in the E09, what are the active customers or vendors list belongs there, and you should see all of them here. Okay, so if you go to the E09, um, come to the screen. Actually, a lot of things are referred to the E09 probably. Let's come back. Did anybody found the customer vendor list? Somewhere in the document here. We put the vendor list. Customer vendor list, right? It is F09. Page 66. Okay. All right. So any customer that are active from here, they should show up in the list from that standpoint. And how do you know they are active or not? That's where you need to give me a second. I think my document has, okay, it's taking a while to load. So you might have to create some customer or vendor in this list by using this module, and those are the ones you're expecting to see. They should show up over there, all the active ones. Okay. All right, give me a second. Which module we were at? All right, so you're on the receiving, and then second one. Okay, so does it make sense? I mean, how you need to tie back the screens versus the test cases and so forth? I can easily see at least 15 to 20 test cases right on the screen that you could have for that. All right, I'm moving on to the cartridge inventory. Any question here? Cartridge inventory page, or what you need to do for testing.
Can you explain the 13, 14, and 15, the weight part?
Yes, sure. So let's come back here to the screen. Maybe that might help. So they, assuming they got the box, right, or skid in the previous screen, which contains many cartridges in there. So they are logging the quantity in the receiving screen. So now they are coming here to the cartridge inventory to process one cartridge at a time. Okay. So again, they will select certain information on the page here. Now there is a weight section here, right? So weight, empty and full and so forth. So this cartridge is they are entering, right? So they will select the manufacturer, who is the manufacturer, what's the manufacturer number and so forth. So depending on the manufacturer and the type of cartridge, they will have some empty and full weight defined for the cartridge. So when they are processing it, so they will do the weight of the cartridge that's coming in from the box. Okay. And they'll put it on the weigh scale, and weigh scale is typically attached to the computer, and it will automatically populate the information in this field here. So it could say, let's say it says when they weigh the cartridge, they are trying to enter into the system, and let's say the weight is 85. Okay. So if it's between this number then they will determine, hey, is it warranty eligible or not? So weight is automatically read from the weight scale, and it will automatically populate in this box here, weight. Now they will also check whether it's a damage or not, and warranty eligible. Based on that, they will mark yes, and it will warranty ID will be generated based on the warranty eligibility at that point. So the weight is just to help them determine whether the cartridge is warranty eligible or not. So that's how they are doing it. So if we go back here, what was that? 18, 19, right? Assign. Let's see.
13,
13.
14,
Okay,
15.
gotcha.
Yes.
Let's come back here. See, being an electronic scale is not available, the information is added manually, right? So they typically have scale attached to the computer, but if the scale is not there, they will measure it outside and they will key in that number from there. The determinant of the cartridge is damaged or is made. So depending on the weight scale, so you should see some calculation for that in the requirement somewhere. So determination is made whether cartridge is damaged or not, or cartridge is warranty eligible or not. Okay, so that's how they look at the weight, and based on that, they will determine, hey, is it warranty eligible or not? So that feeds into that calculation. If it's warranty eligible, then they will do the next step, which would be the defect management. Otherwise, they will identify the scrap and maybe sell their parts or something like that afterwards.
Okay.
Okay. So let's come back to the screen here. And this is a fairly involved screen, and there can be, I think I can see at least 30 to 40 test cases right here. Hopefully you guys can see the same way here. But as I said, I mean, business processes, right? Those are the ones that you want to test thoroughly. And what are the core business process here? Related items. Can anybody, what's in the events? What are the things mentioned in the events that's you consider as a core business process? Everything else is just nothing but the data entry, pretty much. So can anybody tell me what are the core business process type of stuff here on the screen? What is the important test cases here? What are the important ones?
Customer 1, 2.
Okay, so first thing is customer, right? And what you would be testing this thing? That's straightforward. What else other than that?
Shipment and the barcode.
Barcode is what are you testing for the barcode?
Probably some invalid numbers such as.
Okay, so they are test cases, right? But I'm looking for specific business process type of test cases. They are mainly the data entry, right? So data entry type of test case. So you make sure it's a valid number or it's a numeric and so forth. Those are always there. But I'm looking for what is the core business process here? What are the things? And for that, you need to look into the events section for this screen. So what you guys would be testing here?
The shipment lookup.
Okay, shipment lookup. Okay, that's one. What else?
This shipment complete.
Shipment complete. Okay.
And
What
then the
else?
toner, or I'm sorry, the category lookup.
Category lookup. Okay.
Yeah, manufacturer lookup, manufacturer number lookup.
All right. And how would you test
Remanufacturer.
these things? They are similar way, okay,
Okay.
to the customer. So they click here. The categories will display instead of customer, and you need to verify those categories are showing up correctly or not. Same way that we discussed for customer. Okay. So those lookups are fine. But what else?
The weight should have a positive and negative, such as for empty and full.
Okay. So you're gonna test the weight. Are you gonna look? Okay. Well, let's see what you guys come up with that. What else you will be testing?
Warranty ID.
Okay. Warranty ID. Is it showing up or not? Okay. What else?
So
The-
if we are hitting the identical, different, or from start buttons, they should give me different option to fill the data according
Okay.
to what I have selected.
All right. So these are important. I would call this important business process type of thing, right? Based on the events that you have. So these three. Then there is a done. You have cancel. Obviously, you have shipment complete plus all the lookups and so forth. So when you come up with the test cases, right? I think we'll talk about that soon. Make sure you focus on the business process type of things and not like testing these individual fields. Okay, individual fields meaning not like I can enter this field is required or not. So we don't want to see the test cases for those. We want to see, okay, what happens when you do done? What happens when you do identical, different from start, and so forth. Okay, so those are the real test cases. What happens? How do I, whether I'm getting warranty ID correct or not? What happens when you do certain things here? When you do certain things here? Okay, not for the data entry. So kind of like a mono, right? When you click on mono, it will change the color. Again, is it important test case? Probably not. It's more like a data entry type of thing. It needs to be, it needs to change the color, but that's it. It doesn't do any business process activity. Okay, so we don't want to see the test case written on the mono color selection or anything like that. I hope you are getting my point here. But as you can see, I mean, there are at least 30 to 40 test cases right here on the page. But when you work on the project, write the important ones, okay? Because you can't write everything in the short period of time. So focus on the important ones, which are business process side of things, and work through that. Okay, any question on this module? Okay. So we're gonna go over one more module. I think somebody mentioned, right, for the calculation, this is the calculation here, but I'll let you guys read through and work through that, okay? This is a little bit bigger module. All right, let's talk about this particular module, and we'll stop with this particular module for your project work. So any question or do you guys understand what this module is about?
So when we talking about these untested hopper problems, drum problems, are they come under category?
Defect categories, yes. And
Yes.
these are defect subcategories.
Okay.
Okay. So do you understand, right, how this works? So there is you define those categories and subcategories on those modules. They are the right ones, kind of like similar to what we did earlier, right?
Yes.
All the categories. So they click on category, there should be a right subcategory should show up here. Okay. So they can pick it, which subcategory defect it is.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Now here, what else you guys will be testing? I want you to see is what happens when you do these things, right? What happens, something happens here and so forth. This is relatively small module, but it can have a lot more test cases here. Any question on this particular one or any clarification?
This
Nothing?
warranty, this warranty ID number is the one that was generated in the prior form.
That is correct. So if you, in order to test this one, your test data might have to include, because these modules are interrelated. Okay. So that this module gets data from the previous module. So you need to think through where the warranty ID is coming from. And in your test data creation portion, you might have to enter a new cartridge that can generate a warranty ID, which should show up here. So it's just not a standalone. Hey, I click this thing and the warranty ID, I can see it, but where this is coming from? If you don't have it in your test data already created or something like that, that means you have to go and create that warranty ID. Repeat all the steps what you have earlier for the inventory module. Okay. Any other question? All right. So we'll move on from this module. Dilip.
Yes,
there?
Harshal. I'm here.
I'm thinking probably we'll stop here and for the module wise, dividing up the modules with these
Yep.
folks. The last module, I think they can we can have other modules that we can let them work through and so forth. So the shipping module, we will not give to the team here. 3 modules we will divide up for the teams.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So let's see how we wanna divide up the work between the folks here. Okay, so we have the receiving flow and receiving modules. That's one. Cartridge inventory flow, cartridge inventory. This is 2. Image, you don't have to, we don't have to do it. And then we have warranty workflow, which are 3 modules here. And I guess we have what, 8 folks here or 7? So we can divide up 3 teams actually. And carve out the work So 3, 3, and 2. So the 3 folks, 3 teams, right? And 2 over there. Okay. So team number 1. Okay, so this is a team number 1. Number 1. This is team number 2. This is team number 3. Okay.
Herschel.
Yeah.
So we have 3 people per team. Is that what we are thinking?
Yeah. 3, 3, and 2. I think we have total 8 folks right now. I'm not sure other 2 folks will be participating or not since they are not here today. So
Yeah, and then if the other 2 does decide to participate, we can form a team from them.
yeah, that's correct.
Okay. So do we want to assign the teams and then identify which team is what number?
Yeah. Do you guys have any preference who you guys want to part of your team? I know some of you work closely, so I just want to make sure we don't break you guys or that. But let me put up some of the names here for 3 teams here. And the way you can so team, right? So you can always use a Zoom meeting, right, to basically discuss on your time during the week or something like that. That's what I mean. It was beneficial in the past for the students. So the team members who are part of that, they work in the team, real team, and come up with the one test, basically different test scenarios. So we don't want to see separate test cases and so forth. Okay, it's all part of the team. And we want you guys to review each other's work and then present us next Saturday for the test cases. What are different things that you can think about testing? And it needs to be exhaustive list. I mean, it's not like a part of the page or anything. We want you to think through what are the different things, test cases or scenarios. Make sure you come up with that for next Saturday. Okay, so you got a whole week to work through that. So here, let me divide up the teams here. So
I have a
Hey, Harshal.
preference of my team if I can.
That's what I was going
sure.
Me, Shilu,
She
and Mega, we are a
would
team.
like to work in one team.
Okay. So you guys pick the team. So you guys get a bigger module. Okay. Which
Okay.
is number 2 module. Mega, Silu, and Narayan.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So the another 3 folks, right? So I will have a Niti here in the warranty information, a warranty module that we talked about. Niti and Nisa.
Niti, can I join with you?
And
Yeah,
who
sure.
was that?
Nikita.
Nikita. Okay. And Tirth and Samuel, you guys will get module number 2. Okay. Now it's just not one module. Okay. So that's always more than this. So this is your core module. Okay. So 6.4, 6.5, anything that's related to receiving, you guys will need to take care of it. 6.6 to 6.7, and anything related to the cartridge inventory, that's team number 2, and anything related to the warranty information or warranty defect and so forth, that's a team number 3. Okay. Now, along with that, so that's a one module. You guys will get at least 2 modules. Each team will get at least 2. The second module, obviously the shipping warranty folks, right? That's team number 3. You guys will also get defect category list, defect categories detail page as well. So that would be your second module. Okay, that's team number 3. Team number 1. Team number 1, let's see what else you guys will get it from there. So I want you guys to work through the want you guys to work through 635 and 632. Okay, this is team number 1. So you guys make sure you guys write it down. Okay, these modules, what you need to do and so forth. Printer model list, printer model detail. Okay, and team number 2. Let's see what else we can get you guys. And I'll give you guys admin codes and parameter list. Okay, this is team number 2.
And Harshal, if
Yeah.
I may kind of guide the teams.
Sure.
Just remember, like it's, as Harshal mentioned, there is a related information. So for example, if you're doing in receiving, make sure you get all the associated information. So for that, sometimes you have to think about it, what triggers the receiving modules and what information is fed by receiving module to the subsequent modules. So make sure you understand that concept before you build test cases and test scenarios.
Okay. Any question on the work that you are tasked with in the team? As I said, I mean, you can set up the Zoom meeting on your own and work through that. There are 3 team members. It's a small teams here. However you prefer to work through that, work through that. But I think that's what we have seen in the past. You just create your own meetings with the Zoom and come back on Saturday with the detailed test scenario list. Okay, scenarios. That's what we are talking about for all the modules that you are given. So test scenario trees and scenarios, basically with the lips and all those things. Don't worry about writing the detailed test cases yet. Okay, we just want to see what you guys come up with on Saturday. So make sure you have it before Saturday so that we can review right on the Saturday morning, and then we'll have you work through the other stuff afterwards.
We are just going for the scenario trees right now.
That's correct. Yep. And in order to do that, you have to understand those requirements. So make sure you read through one more time the document, discuss among the teams, and come up with those.
Nikita, Niti, and me, right?
Yes, that's correct. And you guys can exchange the email.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
In the chat window. Yeah.
I have Niti's email. I need Nikita's too.
Yeah. And one of the team member can take a lead for setting up the Zoom meeting and so forth, and inviting others. Okay.
Okay.
Can I have
Yes. So we want Nikita's contact number or email ID.
Yeah, Nikita, you can text her in the chat window, and
okay.
you guys can communicate that way. Anybody else had a question? I heard something in the background.
Can I request you to go to page 97?
It's 97. Okay.
Somewhere it says associated with core. I didn't understand that. Right. I'm looking for that too. Associated with, right there, 15. Associated with core. What does it mean by with core?
Let's see what context they are doing, right? The picture. So the core, the inventory, that they will put it in the inventory, right? So if you look at the cartridge, basically, the cartridges. So if you go to the cartridge list page, F12, okay. Which is page number 90. So they have to set up the cartridges, kind of like hey, this is what the cartridge from this manufacturer looks like, and these are certain properties of that. So if I go here on the cartridge details page, okay. Remember, we were talking about adding it. So what they will do is they will set up a kind of like a template, right, for the cartridge, or this is what the cartridge looks like. This is the manufacturer number, part number, printer model. They will also add the images, the pictures for the cartridge, what it actually physically looks like, that cartridge. Okay. And when it comes to the inventory, they will select the based on the picture and so forth. So that whatever information they entered here on the cartridge, that's what they are calling what's in the core. What is the base cartridge? That's what it looks like. That's what they are referring to the core for the cartridge.
Okay.
Yep. So if you look at the inventory page, right? So they have also they are picking the cartridges based on the pictures as well and so forth. So that would be part of your module that you guys are working through.
Yes.
Right. Any other question? Okay. So do you guys know what to do? Right. Dilip, anything else you want to add?
No, I think I'm good.
So you're good, right?
Looking forward to see it on Saturday.
Yep. So I think you guys have your work cut out, and so I think let's work through that this week, and we'll regroup on Saturday. Now we do have a Thursday, and I'll confirm again for Thursday, basically, just in case if you have to reschedule it for the next week, okay? But otherwise, Thursday, plan to meet on Thursday for the Tosca. Otherwise, we might do it after next week for the Tosca. The instructor, she is having some basically health issues right now. So she texted me, but she said if not this week, then next week we can do it. So, but just plan on it. Yeah. Otherwise, I'll send you guys if there is a rescheduling for Thursday.
Okay.
Alrighty then. I think that's all we wanted to cover for the project side of things.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Thank
See
you.
you guys Thursday. All right.
Okay.
Bye
Bye-bye.
bye.
Good day.
See you.
Thank you. Bye.